So this section, I'm going to show you how we're going to start creating products, attributes, with different labels and the like, and how we're going to use our files and our import files to create them in two different ways. One is just using the UI. So effectively, I'm going down to the admin section, Product Attribute Configurator. There is a video that actually takes you through this step in more detail. But what I want to do is to show you a different quick method of creating this, and these are the labels that will appear, within the system. So I can edit these labels. So when I first started, this would have been bullet point 1, and that would have been bullet point 2. So this was the original starting point. But what I want to do is, for these categories, for fashion categories, I want to change these labels. So if I just show you that back on our product. So if we go back to our product sets, fashion, and be first page, you'll see that those labels will have changed under the attribute. So you can see, I just changed them back to what the fields were, but actually I want these to be called something else. So we'll show you how we did that. So if I wanted to do that in just the normal way, which is look after me option, I could just go in back into the fashion configurator and change the label. So we'll change that one to that. Go back to our product, and you can see that we can actually edit the label that's being displayed to make it more meaningful than the field that you're using on the attribute page. However, and there's a video that covers how to create attributes from start to finish. However, I want to show you a quick way, using JSON, which is creating a JSON file. So what I've done here is I've gone through all my attributes, and I can see the fields that I want to use, the data type fields that I want to use, but I've also gone down and sort of labeled all of them here to enable me to say, well, what will I want to see on a field for both the fields, the new fields that I create, or the existing ones I want to use for these categories. So what I've got here is a file. So basically, it's got the original field label that's in the system, which is all good. I've used that as a reference point for the data type. The integration name is if I'm going to be integrating this to something else. But this is the label that I want to use for the fashion, for these fields within fashion. So you can start to see that I'm just using some generic fields here. This is how we're going to create what we call a JSON field. So I want to actually use this formula here to create that. So if I quickly go down to Notepad++, this is a little trick to use. So I'm just going to put a little curly bracket, take that last one out, just so you see what this is. This is add to document is a checkbox that if I wanted to add it to a technical specification, that's part of the PIM. I've marked all these as false because I'm not doing that. This is actually the field name that you're seeing here, and this is what I want to call it. So this is the label that I want want this to happen. So I can just copy that, and then I go back to my fashion group in the PIM. So I'm in here. So I'm in this little section here. So if I just clear all that, save that, and go back, so edit that, and just then copy and paste my data and go back to the configurator. You can start to see I've got a lot more of the fields being displayed. I've got all of my descriptions that are physically I want to use. They're going to apply to these categories here within the configurator. So now if I go back to my product and just reload it, you can start to see a lot more data being shown here. And in fact, if I just physically save this, and click this through, you'll start to see that all of those elements are starting to come through for the attributes. Our fashion attributes that I've designed this page to run. And if I'm going into the edit page as well, you can start to see I want to use are being used here. So this is a quick way of creating the attributes that can be used on a page. Back in the product configurator. And what this has saved me from doing in some ways is, just using the traditional row of adding a row to the bottom, and selecting an item, giving it a title, and just using the other method of adding configurators to that, so that they can be displayed within the system. Ignore all this because this is my demo area. So I just created this page to show fashion, across the system. So these are the only attributes that I actually want to work with the labels that I want to apply to them, which I've done very, very quickly through these files.